Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, students. Nice to be here on this Friday morning. Mr. Sechide standing before you with the topic computer networks. Computer networks, you left school, you know that I was not around as Mr. Selvam was going through. He took you through software, and then he took you through computer communication, and you covered the first part of computer communication. Now, we are going in for what we call computer networks. And with computer networks, we are going to look at networks. But then, we shall start with a few objectives of what we call computer networks, as you will be seeing on my preview as it comes in. So, we shall start with objectives of what we call computer networks. And here, some of the objectives we are going to look at include the following. One, the features. We are going to define first the computer networks. Then, after defining, we are going to look at the features, advantages and disadvantages of the various types of networks. The features of the intranet. We shall look at the features of the extranet. We shall look at the features of the internet, and then we shall look at an overview of what we call the internet, and then the World Wide Web. Then we shall look at the advantages and disadvantages of the internet, and then then we shall look at the types of internet connection. And then we look at the other one will be how to connect a computer to internet using dial-up access. Then we shall look at the other aspect. We shall look at the service providers, internet service providers, like the ones we're using today in order to access or to take on our online learning. Then we shall look at the factors considered when choosing an ISP, internet service provider. Then we shall look at the services available on the internet. So that is what we are going to go through. And we may not go through all, but let us start the topic, which is computer network. So to begin with, as you look at computer, I will start. You remember in Senior 1 when we started this topic, we said, what is a computer? And what is a computer? A computer is an electronic device. An electronic device that inputs data, it processes, it stores, and then outputs. And I have been echoing this into your ears, that it's not only the PC, these desktop computers that are computers. I told you, even what we call the cabinet today, the small one we have here, the one I have here, it inputs data because you have to get a number and then type it in. Then after typing the number, you can decide to save the number, because at times you cannot remember all the numbers, so you save the number, so it has saved the data. Then after that, when you want, you call that number. As you call that number, there is a process which takes place. As the process is taking place, it is processing in order for you to do what? To call. Again, during the storage, again, there is a process through which it passes through in order to do the storage. It is processing. And then, after that, it outputs on the display screen of this small gadget. You can see that there is a screen which displays information. So that is outputting of information, and that is what we are looking at as we are looking at a computer. And after looking at a computer, then we go in and we look at what we call a network. So looking at a network, we are going to look at a network. So we're going to look at the definition of what we call a network. So a network, a computer network, we have now defined this. Now we are going in for what we call a network. And remember that when we came from different schools, then we came to Jubilee Secondary School. And when you reach Jubilee Secondary School, you establish a network of friends. And during the establishment of a network of friends, there is what you are looking for. At times, others are looking for, one, somebody who is going to help me in mathematics. Another one is looking for somebody who is going to help me in KAU. When you are in, you call it dogs, I don't know. That's what you echo. We are in dogs. So another one is looking for somebody who is going to help him in dogs. I don't know if that is a good network. But then, again, that can be a good friend. But then what I want to echo that when you come, you make a network of friends. Because you are in, you are different. As you make the network of friends, you are making the network of friends for help in different areas. So, as we go into what we call a computer network is a connection of two or more computers. When you come in, you are one, but when you reach here, you get others. So you become a network. You make a network, the connection between the two of you. So a network is a connection of two or more computers, as we look at that. Why? Connection of two more computers. But we are connecting the two computers in order to share resources. And sharing of resources is the ultimate goal. And the resources they may include data. That is one. You may have data data can be in form of work. You have work, you share it with another one. It can be software, and software is in different forms. It can be an audio file, it can be a software file when somebody wants to install something on his computer. So you decide to give this person. So that is one. So as we look at this, we are looking at a computer. So a computer, as you see on our as you see, a computer a computer network refers to a connection of two or more computers in order to share resources. What are those resources we are talking about? I've been giving you some of the examples. But the examples I've been giving you, I've given you data, is one of the resources. It can be software, it can be another resource. But then, as you look at our slide, we are seeing that sharing of resources. Which resources can we share here? It can be a printer, it can be a photocopier, it can be a camera. You have seen that today most of the products we have are smart products. For example, many of your parents have bought big screens, the flat screens, and those flat screens are smart screens. Now, as you have them in your houses, you try to connect from one device to another. For example, you get your smartphone, you have a music file, but you want everybody in the house to see. So you connect the Wi-Fi, so you connect the Bluetooth of the television set to the one you have for your phone, and then you play this music. Again, it will be played on the screen. That is, again, you are connecting in order to share that resource. You are sharing the resource with the family. But then, as we look at the connection, there are different gadgets I'm looking at here. I've told you that a printer, you can share a printer. You can be 100 employees in an organization and you share one printer. You have seen that, some of you have been in banks, you have seen that, and different organizations actually, where people are sharing just one printer and there are many. That is sharing of resources. Why do we share resources? We shall look at that. What is the reason of sharing resources? Which will come in. So we look at sharing of resources, but then the different resources here we are talking about can be a photocopier, it can be a camera, it can be a phone, it can be whatever. All we are connecting them together in order to share the resources. So to continue, we shall look at the types of computer networks. We are going to look at the types of computer networks. And as we look at the types of computer networks, I would like you to take note of following, because we have networks within other networks. So we shall be looking at networks within networks. So here we are going to look at one. A network can be relatively small, extensively large. You can talk about a network in Chile Secondary School. In our lab, it can be just that place, the lab. So, but then we can talk about a network which you are developing, you yourself and your friend. You're using the two of your phones, and then you have a network. That's a network of two gadgets we are looking at here. Now, to come up with that, I'm looking at a network. But again, we are starting with a small network. You'll find that today in section C, they will ask you a question to explain how you can connect two different networks. And remember, that question is 20 marks. So as they go in and ask you to come up with that, they are telling you to come up and so as we look at that, I was saying that when they tell you to describe how you can interconnect two different computers, the question may be you'll find that the question is not specifying, because when it specifies, it may require you to use either what we call wireless or the wired. Now, if it is wired, here you know what we are talking about here. When it's wireless, then if a question specifies wireless, then it is taking you away from what you can easily describe. But when the question is open, it's not talking about wireless and it's not talking about wired, and they tell you to describe how you can connect to computers, please, the easiest thing to do is to go for is talk about these two gadgets. Talk about how you can turn on Bluetooth on one phone and turn on Bluetooth on another one. So you search for the device. After searching for the device, you do what? You pair the two devices. And when you pair the two devices, what you have done is what we call connecting the two computers together. So that is what we talk about here. Then I want to talk about we want to see some of the networks, the most common types of networks. And the most common types of networks, the first one we have is what we call the local area network. As you hear our word, local area, as you are seeing in that slide, local area network. In most cases, local area network, in most cases described as, in most cases we talk about it as LAN. And most of you take it as LAN, and actually you write it in your exams as LAN. You are not supposed to write it in short. You are supposed to write it in full. So it is local area network. Here we are talking about a network, a very small network. So that is local area network. But within the local area network, here we look at different aspects. There are other types of networks within those networks. And the first one you look at there is peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer, I will come up and I explain what we mean by peer-to-peer. Then we have what we call client and server network. We shall again go through that. Then we have what we call personal area network. It's another type of network we shall be seeing. Then we have what we call, number 2, we have what we call a wide area network, which we call WAN. Again, as I said, wide area network. Wide area network, that is another network. Here we are calling it WAN, and I've said that you as a student, many of you don't want to write, and then when you are in exams, you you put there 1. We have asked you about networks, then you give 1. So it's not supposed to be that. It's supposed to be wide area network. Then the other one, which is as big, we shall be explaining, it is the metropolitan network, which we call MAN. I've said abbreviations don't come in, which we call MAN. Now, when it comes to those networks, we shall go and describe one after the other, such that you get to know exactly what we are talking about when it comes to these networks. So we shall start with what we call the local area network. The local area network we look at is, we are looking at a connection. We are connecting computers in a small geographical area, very small geographical area. For example, I've told you that the example I may give, when you have 2 phones in that locality you are in, and you connect the 2 phones together, that is the geographical area we are talking about. That in a small geographical area. But then you may be in a building, you may be in a space. Today you can have a network anywhere. But then we are looking at a building, a small building, maybe like our computer lab. Then it can be an office, maybe the head teacher's office, or any other. It may be an office at work. We have seen people in banks, they have a network. So it's a building where they have a network. It can be another thing where you have seen that, for example, we have seen that when we go for marathon again, maybe you have not realized there are gadgets which they place everywhere. And when they press those gadgets everywhere, most of the gadgets are coordinating, they are networked. Such that, one, because some people ask, how do they know that I have started my race and then I have ended my race? Remember, they give us numbers. On the number there is a chip inside, and that chip is captured by the computer. Whenever you pass where the start point is, it captures that you have started. Then when you go in and you go around and come back again, it captures that you have finished the race. So we are looking at networks, but again, we are going in for. So I was talking about MAN here. MAN, it is, MAN, we have finished MAN, but then we have gone to what we call local area network. It's what we are seeing now, what we are seeing on the screen when it comes to our slide. Now, when you look at a local area network, we have described, we have said an office, a small building, but I have said again, it may be a locality. You are outside a building and then you connect 2 devices. And when the devices are communicating, then you have connected the devices. Then it may be in your house, at home. People may be on the internet, but when you are networked within your house, you may have one printer in the house where everybody can print. When you want to print, you say I'm going to print, or you switch on the computer, you can print from your bedroom. Why? That is because you interconnected that. And that is what we are looking at, local area network. So the nodes are connected to the LAN via cables. Now, this is via cable. As what I said, it is wired. And when it comes to via cables, you know that when we get into the description here, we looked at cables. And this is the wireless. Then, sorry, the wired. Now, when it comes to via cables, that is initially what we had. But it's not only cables, it is only via wireless today that computers can be interconnected. Actually, wireless is taking over from what we had as wired. Because one, when you look at wired, it's expensive. You have to buy wires. You have to buy connectors. You have to buy everything. So it is expensive, and people now, the gadgets actually which are being built, we have printers which are wireless. We have computers which are wireless. We have phones which are wireless. I wonder how data comes into your phone, but it is coming for you. Just see it on the screen. Though, so that is wireless connection. So the nodes are connected. They are connected not only wired, but again using wireless. Then a wireless LAN, that is one, is a LAN that does not use physical wires, but uses wireless media such as radio waves. Radio waves, it's one of the way how data is transmitted from one device to another. Then there are two kinds of LAN. Here we are talking about two kinds of LAN. So from the big one, which is LAN, we have two kinds of LAN. One is called peer-to-peer. When we are looking at peer-to-peer, as I look at peer-to-peer, one, peer-to-peer may be student to student. That may be a relationship where students are connected together in order to share resources. And sharing resources here, it may be, you may be looking at somebody maybe knowing mathematics. You don't know mathematics, so you need somebody to take you through mathematics numbers. That can be a peer-to-peer relationship. That is within. So when we talk about peer-to-peer, we are talking about a computer, an independent computer, and an independent computer. I may have two laptops. The two laptops, I connect them together. When I connect them together to talk, maybe via wireless, that is Bluetooth. It may be via wired, that is when I have wires and then I connect them together. Then again, when I connect those two laptops together in order to share resources, that one is called peer-to-peer, because the two laptops are at the same level. They are at the same level. When I talk about that, same level, no laptop is superior to the other. That is what I may say, that they are at the same level. So here we have one peer-to-peer, then we have client-to-server architecture. When you look at client-to-server architecture, client-to-server architecture, for client-to-server architecture, what I may explain, it may be teacher to student. Now the relationship changes. It is teacher to student. Because why teacher to student? The teacher becomes now what we call the server, and then the student becomes the client. So the teacher is knowledgeable than the student. So he gives you what you want. In the same context, here we have an item. So we have a computer called a server. And a computer called a server is a superior computer to a client computer. And it is on this server that we put resources. For example, we use this server to connect the printer to the server, such that all other computers, which we are calling the clients, are going to access this printer through the server computer. And that is why we call it the server. It serves the other computers. So we are looking at those ones. So that is the client to server architecture. But before I go to server and client architecture, we look at the advantages of peer-to-peer. Looking at the advantage why you as a student, you may prefer a student to help you. Why should we have a laptop and a laptop connecting together? And we are looking at those advantages. One, peer-to-peer network is simple to set up. That is one. As I told you that a question will come, and such a question comes in section B, where they are asking you either to use wireless or wired. When it is open and it's not talking about wireless or wired, I told you the simplest methodology, you go on and talk about connecting two phones together. And those two phones at that level, that is peer-to-peer. That is what I'm talking about. So a peer-to-peer network is simple to set up, i.e. it does not require too much configuring. What you require is switching on Bluetooth. After switching on Bluetooth, you search for the device. Then after searching for the device, you pair. After pairing, then you are ready to share resources. That is what we are looking at. So number two, it's not expensive. You know, you don't put in an amount of money as you're doing that. Maybe for the laptops, you may put, if you want wire, you may buy a wire, a simple wire. Because when you look at what we call a simple wire, you may buy a wire, then you interconnect. But again, with the wire, again, the wire may be cheaper. It depends on how much. It depends on how much you are buying the wire. But when you look at this wire, these wires are cheap, which we call the wires we're using for what we call the fiber. These are not fiber. These are what we call the what? UTP cables and what? the UTP cables which we use in order to connect different computers. So what you have to buy is this, what we call the RJ45. You buy this RJ45 and then you buy another RJ45 at the other end. So such that you connect the two computers together. This enters in the port which we call the network port, and then the other part again enters in the other port. So these ones they are cheaper cables. So again, when we are looking at that, it's not expensive. So it does not require a dedicated server to control the network. You don't need a server to control the network. So it becomes an advantage. Because here when you're looking at a server can be a computer and then a server can be software. And both you have to buy. A server can be a computer. That is hardware. That is hardware. That is a server. Because at times you're going to explain this. It can be a computer. Then a server can be software. So we can look at a server as a computer and a server as software. But then this computer, you buy a computer specifically, which is specifically made for that job. Specifically for that job. And that one we call it, specifically for that job, we call it a hardware. But then after buying that, you buy software. At times it is Windows server. It can be Linux server, which is going to help you. Again, these ones, we are talking about them. So when you look at what we call peer-to-peer, in peer-to-peer we don't have to be with a server or a dedicated server or software in order to connect to one another. It is perfect for home and small business users. It's okay. Because if I'm using my phone in order, I may not have CDs in order to bring music at home. So because I have a good phone which can I can download as many as I want, or I don't need even to download. I just need to play, and then that is what I want. I use Bluetooth in order to connect to my television. So when I use Bluetooth and I want to play maybe a song, maybe a film, then I play using the same. That is, it is perfect for home and then small businesses, depending on what you want. That is the advantages of what we call peer-to-peer computers. But then, again, it has what we call disadvantages. Peer-to-peer has disadvantages, and we look at some of these disadvantages. One, the system is not centralized, making administration of the computers, because we may have more computers connected, clients. You see that when you come in as clients in the school, we have to put school rules in order to manage you. So, because there is a central administration, it's easy to manage you as students. That is the server. The central administration becomes the server. But you assume a school where you would be the headmasters, the teachers, and then the students. How that school could look like. So here we are talking about that the system is not centralized, making it administration very difficult. You see where there is no administration. You find that where there is no administration, there is no organization. Look at homes. In your homes, when you know that dad is about to come, you organize yourself. Or mommy is about to come back home, you organize yourself to find you in a very better position. That's why you mop the house, you wash the utensils, because you know that dad is coming back, because of that administration. But you assume that in that house dad is not there. Maybe lockdown found him in Masaka. You wonder how the home can look like. Even mommy and daddy in Masaka, they can't come. You wonder how that home can look like. It is after knowing that daddy is coming back then and mommy, then you organize. So that is the disadvantage we're looking at here. So lack of security, i.e. files can be accessed by anyone. Because the moment when you are looking at gadgets in a situation where we have peer-to-peer, there is total lack of security, because anybody can access the files and take the files without control. But when you have, I'm going to look at the server, the server end. When you have the server, you can control from there. But here, anybody who wants can take, and anybody who wants can delete, and that can be a disadvantage when it comes to peer-to-peer. So the next bit we are looking at, is what we call the client-server network. The client-server network, I talked about it earlier on, and I said that teacher to student. Why? Teacher is knowledgeable more than the student, and you look at a student coming to consult from the teacher. Why? Because he has the knowledge in that particular subject. Like computer, somebody coming to consult me, and then it's because I have that knowledge. So here I'm looking at client. A network has one or more computers acting as a server. You can have more than one server actually. You can have the mail server, you can have the database server, you can have the server for printing, maybe all those, but others, they make sure that they don't waste resources. One computer becomes a server because you are going to buy software on that server. So the control comes on that particular one server. So, i.e., clients on the network can request services from the server. You request. When you type in www.http://ss.com, what are you trying to do? You are trying to request the server where the website for Chibuli is hosted. When you request that server, it will reply you by sending. Others now you begin complaining, I'm not seeing any message. Why? Because the server is not giving you is not answering your request. So that one, when it's not answering the request, the connection is poor, that's when it brings a message which says cannot be connected. So a client computer is a computer that can access the resources onto the network. You become the client. That is actually why you people come to school. Why? Because you come to school to access resources. That's which resources? Knowledge in different subjects from teachers. Now the teachers become the server, then you become the client. So it's a computer that can access resources from the server. Then server provides a centralized storage area for programs, data, and information. On the server, what do we keep there? We keep there information. For example, we have what we call a database. We have a database where all your names are, your classes, your numbers, your marital status, everything. Where are they located? It's one computer, which we call a server, on which that software resides. When that software is put on that computer, it is from that computer that can be distributed in the whole school. And that is how we get to know, that's how we get to access information. We can access information everywhere. At times, you see me that I can access information on my phone, or via my phone, and then I tell you, this is your parent's number. That one I can connect. You can connect onto a server, depending on the type of computer you are using. That is the next one. Then most client server networks have a network administrator who is in charge. Now that one is going to come in. We shall be looking at carriers in computer. Carriers. We call them carriers. Carriers in computer. In computer. Jobs in computer. We shall look at what kind of job can you take up. There is what you call the systems administrator. Systems administrator. So, the systems administrator. Here, as we talk about systems administrator, we are talking about somebody who is going to administer or is going to be there in charge of the system, looking at how to make sure that the system is running properly. 2, that everybody can access the resources they want. 3, that there is control in giving out resources. Not everybody can access resources. Where you find that everybody is accessing resources, then it becomes a problem in an organization. So the system administrator is in charge of the network. But at times, you'll find that here we have a system administrator. But some organizations may have what we call a network administrator, depending on what they want to do. But that one can be another aspect which we can look at. Then, we look at the advantages. Advantages of what we call a client-server network. Now, the advantages we look at when all resources are centralized and are easy to access. That is number 1. That all the resources you need in an organization, like I told you, that database on which all your information, when you come in school, you have to see the systems administrator. Why? Because all your information has to be captured into the computer. And when it is captured into the computer, it is centralized. So all your information is there such that whoever wants to access, and that person who wants to access must be authorized, can access the information in that computer. So that is number 1. Easy management and administration of the network. Easy management, how? As regards what we call security. When it comes to security, that is number 1. Nobody can access in. I don't know of any. You're looking at is an administration. Is an administration as regards security. Security. Then the other one, access to data. Then the other one, storage of data. Now, as we look at this, we shall later on look at the advantages of a network. What are the advantages? Again, they may fall here. Now, is a management and administration. You can control people who are supposed to access and who is not supposed to access. And actually, you give what we call access rights. When you look at the computers we have in the computer lab, we have a computer where we have 2 accounts. One is admin account, another one is a student account. But the student account has little privileges. You cannot install, you cannot uninstall. That is what we do. Why? We are doing this in order to do what we call management and administration. Then, the next one, more data security, since all network access is controlled through the server. When we get there with the management, we have what we call security. You can give everybody a password. Whoever has to access a password. But again, password after password, we have what we call access levels. Access levels. When you look at banks, the manager has different access levels. When you look at banks, those who sit in the till have different access levels. They cannot access what the manager. Actually, when you go to the bank and you are going to withdraw around, I think some of the banks start with 2 millions, 3 millions. At times they tell you go to the manager to sign for you. Some of you may not be knowing this. They tell you go to the manager to sign for you. 1, to sign for you, and 2, to authorize through access levels, authorize the other person in the till to give you that money. That person is not supposed to authorize the giving out of 2 millions plus. Others go to 5 millions. But then others control. In order to control and have good security, they start on maybe 2 millions such that people don't steal money from the bank. So that is access control. Then the network is flexible because changes and new technology can easily be included into the system. You can include technologies. You can access a network through home. I can be working from home. You are seeing that there is lockdown. Many organizations have adopted networks and servers where they have clients working from home, but they're accessing their resources in the offices. Look at URA. Look at URA is a big organization where people can work from home. But again, some of them are working within the offices. So here, when you look at the flexibility now is coming in, and it's very essential when it comes to work from home. Now for you, now you are home, now we are working from this end, but I can sit in my dining, and then I can be teaching you depending on the software which I'm using. So that one can be another advantage of what we call client and server architecture. Then the other one we can look at client-server. Client-server network is faster than peer-to-peer. This is where you are seeing P, and 2. That is peer-to-peer. This is abbreviation. I've said you don't use the abbreviations in examinations. It's not required. So here we are looking at the client-server network. It's faster than the peer-to-peer since the data and the resources are handled by a dedicated machine. That is the server. Then it's to back up all data stored centrally. It's easy to back up all data. You collect that. It is easy to back up all data stored centrally. When you want to get a copy of your data, such that in case of any disaster, you have a copy of that data. Remember that when we get what we call a backup copy, we are not supposed to keep it on site. Site how? I'm talking about, I assume now the computer lab may be having the server. When we back up information, where we have backed up information, we are supposed to take it out of the computer. In case the computer lab is set on fire, you remain with a copy of backup. Others today are backing up in the cloud. That's why today when your phone gets a problem, because you networked into the cloud, you did a backup every day into the cloud. When you get another phone, you get your number, then you put in your email, then you are told to restore all your information, and that is, you get a backup, and that is what we call a network is helping you through that. So client and server network can support many computers as compared to peer-to-peer. It may support so many computers. That's what I'm telling you. When you look at Uganda Revenue Authority, it has branches in different towns, in Busia, in Malaba, in Kabale Katuna border, when you go to the Zaire border, all those, there are people working from there, but they're accessing the network from the server which is in the Uganda Revenue Authority offices. But again, it may not be there. It may be in the cloud today, because people are keeping the information in the cloud. And that is why we are saying advantages are so many. Then we get to the disadvantages. That is now where we have gone. The disadvantages of what? That is disadvantages of client-server network. Now here with the disadvantages, we are going to look at some of them. Number one, you look at your screen. The disadvantages are coming up. One, it is expensive to set up, my friend. A single computer today may be costing around, maybe the ones we are using, may be costing about 2 million shillings. But a good dedicated server may go up to 10 million shillings. Others may start from 5M above. It depends, but this one is a cheaper one. It may not give you all whatever you need. So servers may begin, good servers may be 10 million plus. That is, so it is not as easy. It is very expensive to get this resource. Then it requires an extra computer to serve as a dedicated server. That is what we are talking about. Dedicated server, an extra computer, but the computer is bought at an expensive price. Then maintenance. Large networks will require an administrator staff to ensure efficiency. We talked about systems administrator, but again with the large networks they have not only systems administrator, but again they may have a systems admin. Then you'll find that they have a network admin. All these people you are seeing, or all these people who are recruited, they must be paid for their services, and their services may not come cheap. So that is it is not as easy to maintain. Then dependency. When the server goes down, some of us have been experiencing this, especially when you talk to your parents who are bringing in goods from outside the country. At times when they bring in goods and they tell them, when you go to URA, they tell you no service, the server is not on. At times they tell them no network. That is what they insist on. But no network, at times it is because the server is not on. And because the server is not on, or it has a problem, then the whole network is down. That means work comes to a standstill in the whole country, because people cannot pay taxes, cannot transact, cannot do what? Because of that. Even everywhere, you'll find that people are not transacting because the servers are down. So when this happens, you will not get information you need. And when we look at networks, we shall look at availability as one of the key things which we can look at. Then servers can get overloaded since all the processing is controlled at one point. I'm taking you to URA. I don't know, because many of you are young and I have not gone for those services, but you are going to go in for those services. Why? You going because you are going off senior 4, you need a passport. Many of you will need passports. You'll have to apply for passports. You'll need driving permits. You're going to apply them because when you apply for a passport, you apply online. And when you go into your, you have to pay for the taxes. So you go in and download forms, then you process the payment through. So when you go to that site and the site is overloaded, it takes a lot of time in order to bring what you need. And because it takes a lot of time to bring what you need, then you will not get it. This is what we are calling, when it is overloaded, then you have problems with accessing the resources. Next, we look at the disadvantages. So when we look at the disadvantages, we are looking at the disadvantages of what we call client-server network. It is expensive. That is, we have been looking at that. It is expensive. We have seen that. Then next, we have seen all these ones. And then let us look at C. One, we looked at LAN. And within LAN, we have looked at within LAN, which is the local area network. Within local area network, we have looked at one, we have looked at peer-to-peer, then we have looked at client-server, client network, server, then client. Then, thirdly, we are looking at the personal area network. Personal area network. This is A, this is B, and then this is C. Those ones are falling within personal area network. You'll find most of the people writing PAN. So this is the interconnection of computer devices within the range of an individual person, typically within a range of 10 meters. But that one can be in your house, within your house. You connect that. So we are looking at personal area network, where you have devices. I can have my network connected at home. I have my baby connected to I have my printer, I have my television, I have my I have an internet connection, I have a photocopier, I may have all of them. When I'm using, I can use my phone in order to come up with that. So that is a bit of what we can use when it comes to PAN. PAN is just for a personal use. And as you see in the architecture of the network there, as you see on the screen there, that we are seeing that different gadgets are connected together in order to come up with what we call a personal area network. So a personal area network, for example, a person traveling with a laptop, a personal digital assistant, which is PDA, and a portable printer. You can have your printer just in your bag, so you move. So a portable printer could interconnect them without having to plug anything in, because now we are using more of wireless connection than anything. So we have gone into wireless connection than anything. You can have all the gadgets, but as you go in the printing, you print minus connecting via wires. You connect internet minus, because you know how we do it. You make a hotspot on your phone, and then you interconnect that hotspot onto your laptop, and then your laptop receives what we call an internet connection. So that is a bit of it. Then typically this kind of personal area network could also be interconnected without wires to the internet or other networks, and that is what I was talking about. So you have to look at that, and then we move in. So I don't know if you have opinions and whatever, please in the comment section put in your opinions about the lesson. As we are about to end, we have around 9 minutes to end the lesson. So your opinions, I may receive them through comments, and then I'll get back to you. I said at the beginning that I'm going to load these notes onto the school website such that you can receive them and use them. Then next we look at what we call the wide area network. Number 2, from what we call the LAN, now we go on to what we call the WAN. Now onto the WAN, we are looking at the wide area network. Is a network that covers a large geographical area. We are looking at a network which is covering a large geographical area. Now when you talk about a large geographical area here, it can be an example of a WAN. It can interconnect district offices like you're seeing today, local governments, which we call local governments. I don't know if some of you are following about that. But we can have different districts interconnecting. Or we can have Makerere University. But Makerere University has different branches, and when those branches in different locations are connecting together, we may have a wide area network. That's a good example I may give. You have IUIU, Islamic University in Uganda. It has different branches. It has Kampala, it has Kaboja, it has in Arua, it has in Mbale. So when you interconnect those two, we have what we call a wide area network. So computers are often connected to a WAN via public networks. So you connect to a WAN via what we call public networks. So it goes through those public networks, not now private. So it may be a telephone system, it may be a dedicated line, or it may be via satellite. It depends on what you are connecting to, but then it may be via all that, or it may be but all that, it's via what we call an internet connection. So that is what we are calling a WAN. So here we have I know that it is coming on your screen. I know that you are having a problem with some of my letters are smaller. Maybe next time I will project bigger ones per slide. But then again, I have this picture here, which is indicating how a wider area network is located. When you see notebook with built-in WireMax adapter, then it connects onto an internet connection somewhere. then it connects to residential internet access. Then there is a wireless Wi-Fi spot somewhere. Again, those ones we are linking up, and that is what we call a wider area. It connects from one network to another network until it gets to another network. Others, they know how private, but we are using what we call public networks in order to connect the network, what we call the WAN. So then the WAN, as we are going in, we shall find the WAN, but again, here we shall come in and then we say the internet is the world's largest WAN. Internet. Because one plus another one plus another one plus another one, they make what we call an internet connection. We shall come to that later when we go to the internet. Then, here we have another case. We have what we call metropolitan area networks. Today we are in a lockdown. And because we are in a lockdown, when His Excellency was considering, he considered the urban areas. And among the urban areas, he considered what we call metropolitan area. The metropolitan area. But again, the metropolitan area, I don't know if it was all taken up, because it includes districts of Mukono. He said Mukono, then we have Kampala, and then we have Wakiso. Some of you are coming from those districts, and these are the districts. Now people like those ones, because others are saying that metropolitan would include Mpigi, and others are saying maybe it would include Luwero. But I don't think the president did not consider that. Now within that metropolitan area, the other areas were cut off. Now whenever you are in Kampala, Mukono, and Wakiso, you are moving freely. But then, as I'm considering metropolitan, we are talking about that. It interconnects two or more lands. That is a land, we may have one for Kampala district, another one for Mukono, another one for Wakiso. When it interconnects those ones, it makes what we call a backbone technology, such as using a backbone technology such as fiber optic cables. Fiber optic, I think, when we are dealing with the cables, at times I show you some of the cables we are talking about. So when we use these ones, we come up with what we call a metropolitan area, and a man covers a small geographical area than a WAN. So we are looking at a man because the other one is wider. Now, this one is covering a wider area. We call it metropolitan Kampala. Metropolitan area. Now, the police tells you it is metropolitan. Which is it? Mukono, Kampala, Wakiso. I thought they would include Mpigi. So, whoever is not in metropolitan Kampala cannot access the what? The information. Metro is covering a specific area. So, when we come up with those divisions, we can come up with those small clusters to make up what we call a man. Then the next bit, we have around 2 minutes to summarize. So I'm going to summarize this. I'm not going to go in because I was taking you to intranet, extranet, and then the internet. Maybe we shall have that one later. But to summarize it all, I'll have some questions for you before I end this lesson. I have some questions for you. The first question. I'll have let me write some of these questions on the board. The first question I'll have. First one is what is a computer network. Then 2, list any 3 types of computer networks. Then number 3. Explain how you would establish a computer network. Using unbound media. Maybe this question can carry 20 marks. This one can be 3 marks. And then this one can be 1 mark. I think with that, I would like to end this lesson. I thank you for attending. Please try to share with your friends who are not on and tell them we are progressing. I'll be sending you the notes. I beg to stop here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.